episode of Secrets of Silent Success. Today, and once again, we have the one and only Alyson Rae Lawson. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing well. Tired, but I'm making it.
Yes. Welcome to the entrepreneurial life. Well, I appreciate you for jumping back on. I'm excited to talk about some new stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited that you're here, and I really do appreciate you for interviewing me again. It means a lot.
Absolutely. So the first time we talked about all things 7-Eleven, we talked about, wisdom for your father and his entrepreneurial endeavors. We talked about supporting black businesses. We talked about black women in business. We talked about so much stuff last time, and you gave us the real. You gave us the real last time.
Yeah, then that's why I appreciated you, because I was like, this is the first interview that I ever had that was just so intense and got deeper below the surface level. So.
Yeah. So we want to do that again, right? But first, I need you to bring me up to speed. What has happened and transpired since our last interview, and what do you have in store for 2024?
Okay. So what's so funny about that is that the last time you were here, I was pregnant.
Yeah.
And I was tired and exhausted, and so you really did get like tired and exhausted, Alyson.
Yeah.
And that's good, you know.
Yeah.
And so since then, I've had a baby. Beautiful baby girl. Her name is Journey. She's 2 now. And so I have just been trying to be the best mom to her.
Yeah.
I have a stepson who is 9, so I'm just trying to be the best mother figure to him.
Yeah.
Trying to be a wife and a mother and a business person.
Yeah.
But mainly what I've been doing is 7-Eleven. And I think that is what everybody knows me for.
Yeah.
Which is a good thing, because that's really how I got my name out there.
Sure.
And how people kind of look up to that. So 7-Eleven is what I've been doing, but I think the best part about that is that 7-Eleven has made me realize that I'm more than just 7-Eleven. It's like this was my introduction to entrepreneurship. So my dad franchised 3 McDonald's growing up. My mother's an entrepreneur.
Yeah.
So like I have it in me somewhere. But 7-Eleven was kind of like a big leap, but getting my toes wet in the entrepreneurship industry. And I realized from there I can do anything that I want to do. And I can do anything that I put my mind to. And if I can figure out 7-Eleven and all of the hundreds of aspects of it, I can definitely figure out something for myself. And that's kind of what I did. So I took kind of a different route.
Okay.
And I started a vending machine business.
Okay, congrats. Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Which is doing really, really well.
Good.
And then I also have a couple of other businesses unnamed that I'm still working on.
Okay.
But I think for me, I'm that person where everybody's like, oh, you own a vending machine business? Like, oh, I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
Or when people are like, oh, you own a franchise? I was thinking about that. Or, oh, you want to do Amazon selling? I was thinking about that.
Yeah.
I don't think about that. Like, I don't care about risks, any of that. Like, I jump in a vending machine is this much? Okay, I'm gonna buy one, see what happens.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I do, because I'm willing to take that risk. It's gonna be a low risk. It's not gonna be it's not gonna be a high risk.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a low one, but I'm willing to take that risk.
Yeah.
And that's just what I did. And it ends up that, if you really have it in you, it works.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. So you talked about 7-Eleven kind of being a springboard or that first step in that entrepreneurial journey. What are some of the takeaways that you've had from 7-Eleven that you're moving forward to your new entrepreneurial endeavors?
Patience. I realize that you have to have a lot of patience in this entrepreneur industry.
Yeah.
That nothing comes simple.
Yeah.
That everything takes a lot of time to kind of just figure it out. So when I say I jump into things, but I make a lot of mistakes along the way.
Sure.
I've wasted a lot of money on expired foods in the vending machine business. I've wasted a lot of money on purchasing a machine that I thought would be wonderful, and it was so I think for me, I'm just learning that mistakes happen.
Yep.
And you kind of just have to pick yourself back up, which is what I learned from day one of working on 7-Eleven. Like, I came in, I said, Alyson, either today everything is going to work or it's not.
Yeah.
And you need to figure it out from there. And that's kind of what I've taken to really everything in life, honestly. Either it's going to work out or it's not.
Yeah.
But you're going to pick yourself back up and you're going to figure something out.
Awesome. So a lot of moving parts with the vending machines, pun intended. But with the vending machine business, what does 2024 look like for Alyson Rae Lawson?
2024. First of all, 2023 beat my ass. I want to let everybody know that 2023 was probably the hardest year of my entire life.
Yeah. I concur, actually.
I was like, this is worse than the pandemic year.
Yes.
So I want to say that 2024 is a breakthrough year for Alyson. It's a finding Alyson's happiness.
Yeah.
It's doing what's best for Alyson.
Yeah.
And having said that, as of March 1st, Alyson Rae Lawson is exiting the 7-Eleven business. And I will be selling my stores and moving on to the next big or small chapter in my life.
Wow. Wow. Wasn't expecting to hear that. That you're making that transition. I would ask you, what were some of the elements that you put into making that decision that it was time to transition? What advice do you give to someone that may be thinking about a transition? Okay, this is the time you should take that step.
So I think that entrepreneurship comes with a lot of struggles.
Yeah. And
you have to really pinpoint when it's the last struggle that you want to have, or it's the last bad thing you want to have. I think for me, I was so tired.
Yeah.
Like I was genuinely tired. And if you ask people that are in 7-Eleven corporate, they're like, something changed in you about 2 years ago, and your passion just for it was gone. It's different in corporate America. If your passion is gone, you'll get a promotion. Eventually you'll find something, you'll move around, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I think for entrepreneurship, you're putting all of your money and all of your time and all of your passion into something and you have to make sure that you really, really like to do it.
Yeah.
And that was me in the beginning. I really, really liked to do it, right?
Yeah.
But I think the dynamics of my life changed.
Yep.
So I wasn't married whenever I first started. I didn't have kids whenever I first started. It was just me just free balling it out here, just seeing like what happens.
Yeah.
And since then, I've gotten married. I've had kids. My focus is a lot different. And that is really a big part of it, because it does give you flexibility, I guess.
Yeah.
As an entrepreneur, to like be there for them, but you have to realize that then I'm running 2 full-time stores, right? And then I'm a full-time mom.
Yep.
And then I'm trying to start other things.
Yeah.
And then what most people don't know is last year, whenever I talked about being pregnant, I had my baby, and 7 days later I was back at work.
Wow.
So in corporate America, you get to take off 3 to 6 months.
Yeah.
You get to relax. You get to really understand postpartum and bond with yourself. Mentally, I was there every single day. The day I gave birth to my daughter, I was in the bed because night shift didn't show up. And I was trying to call in people, trying to figure out things after I had just given birth for 6 hours, Wow. And I really didn't get to grasp the whole aspect of what happened. And so, surprise, pray go again. And I think for me, the timing of what's happening is perfect, because I'm one of those people who like believes in signs. And I think that God kept saying, okay, it's time. And my family kept saying, hey, it's time. And I'm like, no, it's not time. It's not time. And then finally the Lord's going to smack you with what timeliness is, right?
Yeah.
And so I really got the best deal and the best offer for the beginning of March, which is good because my baby is due at the end of March.
There you go. Yeah.
So I think for me, like all of the signs were there. And I was just genuinely tired. But I think the final straw for me personally was when my husband said that, and my father agreed as well, is that, house always wins. House always wins. I don't care how many good things I do as a franchisee, the franchisor is going to move the goalposts.
Of course.
And it's just a matter of if you want to continue to fight with the system, or if it's time to do something else. And I had lost so much money. I had lost so much money, and I'm like, you know what? This is not where you are, and it wasn't meant for something. It wasn't meant for me to do it forever, right? So you have the Roland Parishes of the world who own 30 plus McDonald's. You have my dad who owned 3 McDonald's for over 20 years. Like, those are different industries, and those are different people that I bow down to, because I'm like,
Yeah, shout out to you.
Shout out to you.
Yeah.
But 7-Eleven for me wasn't something that I was going to do for life.
Yeah.
And so my dad always says, make sure you have an exit plan. Make sure you have it. And he always says that. He said it when I was in college. He said it when I had my first job. He said it when I got married. He said it when I got 7-Eleven.
Yeah.
He's like, in life, you always have to have an exit plan. And so I just think that everything kind of aligned perfectly.
Yeah.
And it was like, you know what? It's time.
It's time. Yeah, yeah. I love to hear some of the decisions that went into making the transition or knowing that it was time to make the transition. I know for me personally, you talk about 2023 was the worst year of your life. I would concur 100%. Had transitioned in my business, lost loved ones, lost money, all of that stuff. And for me, knowing that it was time to transition in my business, it's when you get the problem at your doorstep and I no longer have the desire to want to fix it.
Exactly.
That's when I was like, it's time to transition.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
So my question for you, it's a lot of people out there that want to transition, whether that's from entrepreneurship to a different endeavor, whether it's a different job. It's a lot of people that want to transition. And you talked about being a self-starter. I'm all about that. I'll just jump in and see what happens.
Yeah.
But for me, and I don't know if you would agree with this, I found that transitioning was harder. Because it's familiar, right? Even if, whether it's my business, your business, they all have their good and their bad, but it's familiar, right? We've done this for, you talking about 7 years full time. How did you make that step to transition similar to how you make that step to get the vending machine business or to start another endeavor?
When you're with the franchise, it's a lot simpler. And so I always tell people that, like, when you're with the franchise, it is a lot simpler. If I said, screw this today, I could walk out tomorrow and 7-Eleven is left to figure it out. Be a lot of money lost for me, but 7-Eleven is left to figure it out, right?
Gotcha.
So I do want to put it out there that the way that I'm being able to transition out of this is a lot more comfy than the way that most people will get to transition out of something, right? But I think that my advice to people is truly asking if it serves you purpose. Like, does it serve you purpose? I think for me, it's a bittersweet moment. Because I absolutely love my customers. I love my fan base. I love, I love the Ray Hive. I love the people who have supported me. I genuinely love my staff. But it's also sweet because I realize that I get to rest for a day.
For a day.
I get to rest for a day or for however long it takes. But I think that my advice to people that are going to transition is like, does it serve you? And I think for me, fighting a system or always having to be on guard it no longer served the purpose in which I was in. And I think that you really have to figure that out. I know I said that I jump into a lot of things, but I would never transition out of anything so big and stable unless I had an actual plan of something else. And I think that that's the one thing that I do want to mention is that, like, it's easy to go from like vending machine to this, to this, to this. But when we're talking about my main source of income, which is 7-Eleven, it's a very hard transition out of not having that stable mindset and then going into kind of like hey, it may work today, it depends on. So I think that a lot of people try to get out of are just so in a rush to get out of the 9-to-5 or whatever they're doing that they don't take the time to fully plan out what that looks like. And then also I want people to know that, like, nothing is a failure. Like, nothing is a failure in life,
learning.
right?
It's all about learning.
Right? So when customers come, they'll probably be like, oh, where did Alyson go? Oh, no, like, I ran a very successful business for 7 years. I had an exit strategy. It's time to go. But it's not a failure. It's just a new chapter.
Absolutely. You talked about whether it's individuals trying to rush out of corporate America or trying to rush into entrepreneurship. I want to talk for a second about the realities of entrepreneurship, right? Because we see it, you and I both see it in Instagram bio, CEO, BYOB. It's just a totally different lifestyle once you have actual employees to train and to manage and you got actual processes to follow. It's a different world. So I want to hear about some of your experiences and some of the realities that you will want to share with others about entrepreneurship?
Yeah, I think that when you say people want to rush out of corporate America, there's no reason why you shouldn't stay in corporate America. Yep. There's no reason why you should not use corporate America to fund whatever your dreams are. Yep. They're using you every single day.
Yeah.
You might as well use them to fund whatever else entrepreneurial you want to do in life.
Yep.
So let me first put that out there.
Yeah.
I think people that own businesses, there's different types. So like there's a type that do corporate and do, so there's a stable position that you have, and then you do this on the side. It's a lot lower risk.
Yeah.
People who own brick and mortars, it's completely different because you are depending on staff and all this other type of stuff, and staff still, customers still. My father and I argue every single day about who had it worse, right? Well, we lost just as money as you. I'm like, no, you didn't. You had product and register. I have lottery machine, gas machine, register, food on the floor. Like there's 1,000 different ways. Money order machine. There's 1,000 different ways to lose money here. And I think that when people are like, they still like, oh, it's just a pack of Skittles, or oh, it's just a beer run, or I've had staff that are like, oh, it's just $1,000 worth of this. $100 in this business could make or break you for a very long time. And I think that people feel like entrepreneurs or franchisees have this whole pot of gold somewhere that we don't have. Our money sits right here in this building.
And you get paid last.
And I get paid last if I get paid at all.
There you go.
And so
facts.
And so our money is sitting right. So when you steal it back, that's genuinely my money coming out of it. And you just really get tired of that from that aspect. So when you're saying like, what are my experiences? My experiences are literally putting out a fire every single day. Literally putting out a fire.
Not figuratively,
Yesterday,
literally.
my staff literally put out a fire.
Wow.
Because some customer was upset and decided to set fire to my lawn at a gas station.
Wow.
So I think that when we say like, the experiences that happen, every place is different, because when I talk to other franchisees, they're like, oh yeah, this happened. I'm like, that's crazy, but how many times did they drive off with your pump today? So like, it's like, you know, it's so many different experiences that have happened. And I will say there's nothing that has happened so far that I'm shocked about.
Yeah.
You cannot, and I think this made me a very calm person, because at this point when my staff was like, oh, this happened today, I'm like, all right. Like,
it's expected at this point.
It's expected at this point. But I think it's also very sad that somebody works so hard to make something function.
Yeah.
And if it's not the system that's supposed to be working with you that's fighting you,
it's
the community or the customers or the staff. And it's just those experiences, they make you tired and make you ask, like, is it really worth it?
Yeah.
So I will have a lot to tell.
Yes. In the coming segments.
In the coming segments. Just even behind the scenes, you know. There's probably not a day that goes by that registers aren't short, or there's probably not a day that goes by that something is missing, or there's not a day that goes by that something doesn't happen. So I think the experiences that I have can be written in a tell-all book one day. But for the sake of staying on the good side right now, I'm going to keep some of them quiet. But no, just the experiences for everything. I think that everybody just needs to be prepared to see things that they've never seen before.
Absolutely. Yeah. And one of the ways I try to logically look at the emotional side of entrepreneurship, because the emotional side have you going up and down, and have you one day you feel good, the next day you want to punch someone in the face. The way that I try to look at it from a logical side is that all of these things that I deal with, that you deal with, are calluses, right? It's like when you work out, you get the calluses on your hands so you can lift a heavier weight next time. Because what you went through in year one, it hurt, but if you would have had to deal with what you dealt with in year 5 and year 1, you would have been flat out, laid out, KO, not even been able to get back up. But you were callous year after year after year to be able to handle what you did in year 7 and what you did going forward. So that's kind of my logical way to, I guess, console myself. Right, from the entrepreneur endeavors. But I would ask you talked about all the money that you lost, whether that's from outside patrons stealing, whether that's from internal employees stealing, all of these things that you dealt with. I would ask you,
Or 7-Eleven throwing curveballs.
Or the franchisor curveballs. It goes on and on, right? You talk about literal fires at a gas station, which is terrifying, right?
Yes.
I would ask you, 7 years, right? That's success. 7 years. How did you mentally and physically persevere for 7 years through all of those experiences that were thrown at you?
I think the misconception is that I persevered through all of it. And I say that lightly because I'm still standing, I'm still here, I'm still being able to smile.
Yeah.
But I think that the misconception is that as entrepreneurs, we persevere.
Yeah.
And some things are really big setbacks.
Yeah.
I don't know how to explain it. So somebody steals money from me. I have to keep it moving, right? Like that's what you do in a business, you keep it moving. But in reality, your business suffered. Yeah. So if somebody does it again and again and again, you keep going further and further and further down. And what people are realizing is you don't come out of that hole. Like you just have to keep finding a way to move forward while you're in that hole.
Yeah.
And so I didn't persevere. I made the best out of it.
Yeah.
And I always had a smile on my face.
Yeah.
But I get messages from people all the time that are like, hey, I really do appreciate you showing the good and the bad, because I think that is one of the things that social media has been out here just lying to folks. Like, oh, look at me, I'm an entrepreneur. Oh, look at me, I'm an entrepreneur.
I got this nice car and I'm taking vacations for 6 weeks at a time.
Yeah. That's not the game at all.
Yeah.
It's not the game. And there's some entrepreneurs who are able to do that, and that's more power to you.
Yep.
But then there's some real folks like me out there who are like literally having to fight every single day. So to say that I and it's not a negative thing, but it's life, you know. I did make it through.
Yeah.
And I was able to be in a good spot in order to sell.
Yeah.
But every day became another struggle. And so how did I persevere through it? You learn lessons along the way. Okay, well, they stole this way. They sold $5,000 worth of money orders. Fine, we take the money order machine out. I don't even sell money orders. Like there's a whole list of things that you kind of learn as you go along, as you move along.
Yeah.
But as entrepreneurs, you never really just persevere through it.
Yeah.
You just pick yourself back up and you just keep moving.
Yeah.
And that is the best part about entrepreneurs, and honestly it's the best part about Black entrepreneurs is that there's an entire system fighting against us. There's an entire race fighting against us. There's an entire, community fighting against us, but somehow we get up every single day and we try to make good for our family.
Yeah.
And I think that is the beautiful part about it, and that kind of is what keeps us going.
Yeah. You don't consider it persevering. I'm gonna consider it persevering, and I'm gonna give you your flowers, because I think you only lose when you don't get back up.
When you don't get back up,
right?
Yeah.
Like even if you were in the hole, keep getting stolen from, and you just getting back up to make it to where you just lost from, that's still, in my opinion, a form of progress, and that you're still standing, even if you got you got stab marks in your back, you're still standing. And I think the biggest thing that I take away from hearing you is refocusing, regrouping, and trying something different. Hey, they stole $5,000 worth of money orders. We're gonna come to the table. That's not gonna happen again, right? Or we're gonna try to mitigate it. Let's take the money, the money order machine out. And I feel like that, in my opinion, whether you talk about Black entrepreneurs or we just talk about Alyson Rae Lawson thing, I think that is something to be commended, because some people don't get back up.
Yeah.
Some people don't get back up. And the fact that you were able to get back up for 7 years, that is a really long time.
Right. And I also feel like success is knowing when to stop.
Absolutely.
I think that's the best part about success is that I'm going out on top.
Yeah.
And I know when to stop, because I've done extremely well for 7 years.
Yeah.
I sold 1,200 bottles worth of Black Girl Magic during the pandemic, the highest seller in America of 7-Eleven. So I'm going out on top. I know that I did a lot of good things, but I just know for me when to stop.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. I know one of the things that we talked about in our production call was the corporate America versus entrepreneurship, right? And for some reason, I don't, and I guess that's just the way our country works. It has to be a dichotomy, or this or that, or them or us. Like, no, you can do both,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so one of the things that you said was like, yes, hey, we need black entrepreneurs, but we need blacks in corporate America as well if we want to elevate us in society overall, because at the end of the day, the people sitting at those boardroom tables in corporate America
are making decisions,
and they don't look like us.
Right.
So we still need people within that corporate America ladder working their way up to make it to the top. I probably just stole your entire answer, but I would want to hear your thoughts on why you say, hey, it's important to have blacks in all aspects of business, not just in entrepreneurship.
Right. I think people say it incorrectly. So they're like, oh, 9 to 5, whoever works a 9 to 5 below. I'm just like, shut up. Like, that has nothing to, like, it's just so annoying at this point.
Yeah.
I think what they mean to say is that everybody should have ownership in something. Like, all African Americans should be doing something. So if that means that on the side you renovate houses, or on the side you have a candle business, or on the side you, like, I do believe in that. Like, everybody should have something that they like to do that is business type on the side.
Yes.
But I do honestly believe that corporate America is where African Americans most certainly should be. I believe we should have foot soldiers. I believe that we should have people in the boardroom, people in the classroom, people on the police force, like people every single, just everywhere, because that's exactly how we're able to function. I would not be where I am today if it wasn't for these African Americans that were placed in these corporate-like settings, in these school-like settings. Just like, let's start off with school. Like, if there were no black teachers, I would not have been inspired.
Yeah.
My first job out of college was because of a man who was the assistant city manager of Dallas. I would not have been placed in the budget office if it were not for that.
Yeah.
There's people in corporate 7-Eleven. I would not have 2 stores today if they did not see the BS that I was going through on ground level.
Yeah.
So there's people that are genuinely, my first vending machine, shout out to St. Philip's School and Community Center in South Dallas.
Yep.
Headmaster there is Dr. Flowers, and I originally knew him from the principal there, the late Cheryl English. And if they were not in that setting, I would not know them today in order to put my first vending machine somewhere and get my start. So it's people like that who are in corporate America, who are on the who are on the police force, who are in these boardrooms, who are in these classrooms, that are putting people in great places as entrepreneurs, and they need to be there. So to say that, like, oh, we need to all get out of this and just go do this, that doesn't make any sense.
Yep.
Like, we need to be everywhere, in every place, in every position, in order to make this thing function.
Yeah. I got a little bit of a contrarian take to a lot of people, because I'm like, we don't have to play the game. I think it's most efficient and effective to play the game, right? Like, I don't want to go on a tangent, but if there's a house, I'm gonna go in there and I'm gonna play, right? As opposed to always trying to do it myself. But to your point, I love your point. It's like, hey, you can go play in that house and still have you one over here being built, right? It's all about equity. So you can play in corporate America and have your equity at the same time.
And I think that people don't really think about it this way, but like, we need those plugs in order to get us where we need to be. But other races have been doing it for years.
Yeah.
Other races have been doing it for years.
Yeah.
How do you think Lil Timmy is sitting as a VP in a company right now when he doesn't even know how to put on his underwear the correct way? You know what I mean? Like, there's
nepotism.
So that's exactly why we need African Americans in so many different places, because we also need those plugs because we're actually qualified.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like, we actually want to do better. We actually are smart. We actually know what's happening, and we actually have the confidence to do it. We just need to be given the opportunity.
There you go.
So I think that entrepreneurship is something that if you go full time with, that's for you.
Yeah.
Like, that is totally for you, and I completely agree with it. And I think that if right now you're doing amazing in your 9 to 5, then keep doing that.
Yep.
And if you want to own something on the side, then keep doing that. But I just don't think. I think that they can all coexist, and I've always been for that.
Yeah, you can do both. Absolutely. So we talked about a lot, right? And this is called the Secrets of Silent Success podcast. So I would ask you, Alyson Rae Lawson, what is your secret to success?
My new secret to success is being happy.
There you go. There you go. Hey, yes. Snap to that. There you go. Being happy.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, this is the first, right? I'm gonna let you sign it off as we conclude the episode. So, go ahead and take it away.
Hey, it's your girl, Alyson Rae Lawson, aka Alyson Rae, aka Ally Rae, aka A-Ray, aka A-Rob, aka Queen of the Rae Hive, aka the hardest working woman alive. But pray for me because I am always working on it. I am a wife, a mother, a family person, a business owner, and a former 7-Eleven franchisee. I want to take the time to thank everybody who has supported me from day one. I'd like to thank my customers, my staff, people who supported me on social media. I would love to thank the bigwigs, the Al Rae Lawsons, the Al Rae Von Lawsons, my dad, the Roland Parishes of the world who've given me inspiration. I'd love to thank all of the female franchisees who've given me so much support and so much motivation. This is bittersweet for me.
You got this.
And it's just a new chapter. But I know that this is not the end for me, and that I am an amazing entrepreneur. And so I want you all to keep following me and keep encouraging me, and just know that I am coming back stronger than ever, in my own form and fashion. And that's it. Peace out.
Appreciate you. That was fun.
Yeah.
Good.
That was good. Thank y'all so much.